Jadi in my opinion, I think the issue is that there's a lot of uncertainty gitu. Ya, jadi uncertainty and I think a lot of Web2 developers before they come into Web3, they're always thinking about okay, is it a scam? Ini scam ataupun is there stability, right? Because Web2 is, I mean, of course now there's a lot of layoffs ya. Sekarang kan ada layoff di Web2 di Web3.
Yeah, so many startups.
Right.
Okay. Hello everybody. Now we are gonna talk about the new things in Web3, crypto, and blockchains. Currently, I have a guest from Singapore. This is Muhammad Dahlan.
Bad life may seem, there is always something you can do to succeed at. While there is life, there is hope.
How are you, bro? Actually, he can speak bahasa also, so maybe we can campur-campur lah ya antara English dan bahasa.
Dikit-dikit.
Ini Muhammad Dahlan ini gue bilang bahwa dia orang yang paling aktif sih, yang di luar dari Indonesia datang ke sini di event-event Indonesia juga dia sering. Gue pengen tahu sih sebenarnya gimana sih di luar itu kripto ya projectnya maupun bisnisnya di sana itu seperti apa. Dan ya my last question mungkin, ya kenapa dia datang ke Indonesia gitu? Karena kan di Indonesia juga marketnya udah banyak gitu ya, pemain-pemainnya juga udah banyak. So let's talk with him, okay? Halo bro.
Halo bang.
Ini lu jauh-jauh datang. Ini apa visi misinya nih bro di Indonesia nih?
Ya memang saya rasa memang long term vision ya.
Oh, long term vision.
Zababa gitu
Okay.
memang rasanya Indo ni ada potensi lah. Ya, yang lumayan. Ya, jadi memang kalau dari segi teman-teman di Singapura, mungkin teman-teman di Europe atau Amerika selalu tanya, ini kalau project saya mau pergi ke Indo gini bagaimana ya? Gitu ya.
Okay.
Jadi nanti tanya, marketingnya bagaimana? Web3 adoptionnya bagaimana gitu. Jadi udah buat research ya gitu ya. Dengan teman-teman, dengan pun ada partner-partner di Indo kan. Jadi udah rasanya Indo ni dari segi Southeast Asia ni mungkin yang paling besar ya.
Paling besar
sekarang
untuk marketnya ya.
Ya, marketnya. Sekarang mungkin belum dari segi Web3 developer, dari segi adoption mungkin belum sampai Vietnam ataupun Singapura, tapi dari segi long term ya kan populationnya kan 200
besar
juta.
Ya, 275 jutaan lah.
Betul. Ya, jadi ada opportunity yang mungkin belum lagi it's not obvious ya, belum lagi ada, tapi
early stage ya.
Iya, early stage. Jadi saya rasa mungkin beri 5-10 tahun, 20 tahun lagi nanti Indo yang paling jago lah.
Paling besar lah ya.
Di bukan saja di Southeast Asia sih, saya rasa mungkin di Asia ataupun di global ya. Jadi saya sendirilah percaya ini potensi yang terbesar. Jadi ramai yang teman-teman kata, Bang Mat kenapa ke Indo? Udah di Singapura kan, build aja di sini. Tapi personally saya rasa udah research, udah berbual dengan teman-teman, dengan Bang Isabel semua. Jadi rasanya Indo ni awal ya, very early. So
kalau dibandingkan dengan Singapura ya, komunitas-komunitas di sana tuh seperti apa sih kalau lu bandingin sama Indonesia? Kalau kita kan
Web3.
lu komunitas Web3 lah. Kalau lu udah sering ya lihat kita lah ya di event-event. Kalau di sana gimana ya? Ya,
di Singapura gitu komunitasnya kecil ya. Jadi mirip Indo juga. Jadi di event-event semua orangnya sama. Lu lagi. Iya, lu lagi. Jadi masih sama mirip dengan Indo. Tapi saya rasa Singapura ni dari segi komunitas kebanyakan projek-projek yang udah besar. Ya. Jadi jaringan-jaringan Ethereum, Solana, itu pun projek yang di luar mungkin datang ya. Mau mungkin bukan dari segi bina community, tapi mungkin dari segi ini saya mau investor ada di Singapura,
investment
saya mau investment dari Singapura, saya mau mungkin partnership dengan government ataupun institution di situ ya. Jadi tapi kalau dari segi komunitas saya rasa memang kecil, because Singapura pun populationnya 5 juta gitu kan. Jadi kalau saya compare dengan Indo sama aja. Oh lu lagi masih sakit begini ya.
What I'm saying is Indonesia is the consumptive place, right? Artinya market yang paling bagus untuk konsumtif. Different with the Singapore, because they have a good talents, they have a very professionals engineers, right? Artinya memang mostly di Singapura itu lebih ke arah make development, investment, dan jual ke beberapa seat Aussie ya. Tapi Indonesia menjadi target paling utama kali ya.
Iya, jadi Singapura ni kalau mungkin dari segi talent kan universitasnya mungkin macam NUS, NTU kan
number one lah.
Mungkin
number 4 di Asia, right?
Ya di Asia pun selalu top 5, top 3 kan. Kalau di global pun mungkin top 10, top 20. Jadi dari segi talent pipeline-nya memang udah bagus di situ. Tapi developernya lagi kecil kan. Jadi percentage dari segi total population memang kecil, tapi memang talentnya udah matang gitu.
Matang banget ya.
Jadi di Indo mungkin universitas, there's more universities, talentnya lebih, tapi harus di training, harus di mentor kan. Jadi itu ada di Zabava sekali ya, kita ada goal untuk bikin produk untuk membina talent-talent di Indo. Jadi maksudnya gitu, nanti kita ada pipeline. Jadi dari awal mungkin siapa-siapa aja, mungkin Bang Isabel mau belajar coding, mau belajar smart contract kan. Jadi kita ada curriculum from the start until finish. Ya, jadi start mungkin mula coba Python dulu, coba JavaScript, coba yang programming language yang mungkin lagi senang kan. Lepas tu pergi ke Solidity atau Rust atau yang smart contract. Yang akhir sekali pergi dapat job. So we give you a job at the end atau internship gitu.
That's Zabava will.
Itu ada produk sekarang masih di development. Jadi siapa-siapa aja lah, Bang Isabel, siapa-siapa, end to end, dari belajar hingga dapat internship atau job, gitu goalnya lah.
So by the way bro, from which words you find Zabava? What means? What's that?
Ya, jadi itu mungkin 2 tahun lalu lah gitu, masih pikir ini Zabava ni sebenarnya kita backgroundnya gaming dulu kan, game studio.
Games.
Jadi pikir kita buat research lah, like nama-nama yang udah ada di Web3 atau blockchain kan. Ramai sushi lah, ada bento, pancake, ada makanan-makanan.
Sushi
jadi makanan Jepun kan. Jadi saya dengan co-foundernya pikir kita mau nama yang mirip kepada gaming atau fun. Jadi kita lihat fun ni di bahasa-bahasa lain apa?
Fun di bahasa lain.
Iya, jadi
so you find from which country?
Betul. Jadi Zabava ini sebenarnya fun di Russian, Croatian, Ukraine gitu. Jadi bahasa gitu.
Dari East Europe ya.
Ya, jadi ada teman-teman di East Europe, ini fun kan sebenarnya Zabava ni. Ya betul. Tapi yang lain
all words Zabava or only Java?
Zabava.
Zabava.
Zabava itu
fun.
Ya, betul. Jadi udah ambil aja, dan udah the name sticks lah until now.
Right. Okay. Actually, before you going to Zabava, do you have any experiences before? I mean, this is your first time into Web3 in Zabava, or maybe you have experience previously before?
Jadi saya sebenarnya background saya tradisional lah memang. Jadi saya belajar di mahasiswa memang belajar computer science, matematik gitu di Singapura, dengan ada di Amerika juga. Lepas tu selepas saya graduate, saya agak pergi tech, saya pergi ke finance. Jadi saya pergi bank, Deutsche Bank itu bank di Eropah. Lepas tu saya pergi ke hedge fund.
Hedge fund. You pernah kerja situ?
Ya, pernah hedge fund. Jadi hedge fund ni ada namanya Millennium Capital, iaitu kalau dari segi AUM gitu nombor 2 ya di dunia. Mungkin
AUM.
AUM tu maksudnya
annual
asset under management kan?
Under management ya, asset under management ya.
Ya, jadi itu saya kerja di situ, saya buat quantitative trading, saya ada buat market making, high frequency trading gitu. Ya, jadi di situ saya setahun gitu. Ya, jadi saya pergi ke bank Eropah dulu, Deutsche, lepas tu Millennium, lepas tu ini 2021 gitu. Jadi saya udah mulai dalam
baru
crypto.
Berarti ya 2021
baru juga.
ya.
Iya. Jadi dalam
zaman
crypto.
Covid juga itu ya.
Iya, betul. Jadi masih kerja di rumah.
Oh. Oke.
Ya, jadi saya waktu itu masih udah minat lah dengan kripto kan. Jadi saya tanya dengan bos saya di Millennium, katanya ini bang, bila mau pergi ke kripto kan, ini kan hedge fund ada capitalnya ada, tapi mungkin ada masih di dalam equities, fixed income semua ya. Tapi dia kata belum lagi lah. Jadi saya pun macam alamak, saya mau terus ke kripto nih. Ya, jadi saya terus pergi ke kerja di hedge fund lagi satu. Hedge fund ini namanya JST di New York ya. Ya, jadi waktu itu masih awal dari segi DeFi ya. Dari segi DeFi infrastructure research semua. Jadi saya bantuin bos saya di New York untuk bina dari segi DeFi, application research, trading semua, jadi saya tolong. Jadi lepas itu mungkin 2022, end of 2022 saya udah dapat duit dari Algorand kan.
Algorand.
Dapat investment udah pun macam saya mau bina sendirilah.
Just like grant like that.
Ya betul.
Itu from hackathon.
Itu accelerator. Jadi ada accelerator ya. Jadi dengan udah discuss bahas dengan bos saya, katanya saya rasa bos saya mau coba sendirilah sekarang. Ya, jadi bos cakap okay, gak apa-apa, kalau mau datang balik silakan kan.
So you are very short time ya. You have experience working with others.
Ya betul. Jadi
maybe like 2 years.
Ya, jadi setahun 2 tahun. Ya, tapi saya memang udah mungkin dari mahasiswa udah pikiran okay, saya mau bina something sendiri. Tapi saya mau experience dulu, belajar dengan bos-bos kan. Jadi itulah. Jadi lepas tu Zabava 2022 itu full time saya sampai sekarang Zabava.
How many partners did you have?
Saya dengan partner saya itu CTO-nya Dan namanya di Singapura juga.
So only 2 persons ya.
Iya betul.
Okay, so you are now in business focusing.
Iya betul. Jadi awal-awalnya memang cuma saya dengan Dan aja, gak ada bisnes, jadi kita coding aja terus, hackathon coding aja. Tapi sekarang timnya udah lebih besar dikit kan, jadi saya coding lagi reduce lah. Jadi saya harus pergi ke partnership business yang lain-lain ya. Tapi saya rasa mungkin sekarang dari segi coding mungkin 30% of my time, 30% of my time.
You still coding also? Right?
Masih.
Nice bro.
Ya. Tapi udah lebih.
Biasanya kalau udah orang bisnis nggak mau coding lagi dia.
Ya, nggak tahu lah. Mungkin tahun ini nggak ada lagi.
Nggak ada lagi. You just only, bro, you make this, see this guideline like this maybe, right?
Iya betul. Jadi susah lah, lagi sulit sekarang untuk coding. Because kadang-kadang mau coding, kalau coding tuh harus duduk betul-betul fokus kan.
Iya dong.
Iya, tapi mungkin dari segi Zabava ini kita mau grow atau scale lagi cepat lah, jadi
business right.
Sulit ya.
Okay. So sekarang Zabava punya ada produk apa aja sekarang?
Ya, jadi Zabava ini kita masih ada produk di Algorand itu Sentinel Heaven ya. Itu mirip sekarang kita masih
game. Ya,
itu So Move sebenarnya game dancing gitu yang awal kan. Tapi kita sekarang mungkin ada pivot dikit, mungkin masih sedang discuss dengan tim, dengan partner. Mungkin itu akan jadi NFT community, NFT komunitas ataupun guild gitu untuk gaming kan. Jadi itu produk masih sedang pivot. Produk lagi satu yang tadi saya udah bilang
yang untuk akademi ya.
Edukasi ya. Jadi itu kita ada partnership dengan university, dengan government gitu untuk ada pipeline lah, belajar terus. Jadi siapa-siapa untuk Web3 boleh masuk Web3, dapat kerja atau dapat internship. The last one is kita sekarang ada game di Aptos, jaringan Aptos.
Wow, so many blockchain network.
Yeah, I mean
ada Solana, ada Algorand,
Solana,
and now Aptos.
Solana mungkin gak ada experimentation, tapi belum ada apa-apa yang konkret ya. Tapi yang Aptos ni kita udah
kemarin menang kan di Solana ya.
Solana mungkin setahun 2 tahun lalu.
Hackathon juga ya.
Ya ini ya Aptos yang paling the latest one.
Oh, the latest one.
Ya so
itu pakai bahasa itu ya si Move ya, Move.
Betul.
You can do it.
Betul. Move ini sebenarnya kalau
lebih simpel atau gimana?
Lagi saya rasa dari sendiri ya. Pendapat saya lagi senang dari Solidity sih.
Solidity lah ya.
Ya, Solidity mungkin lagi susah because Move ini mirip Rust gitu.
Jadi, mirip Rust.
Ya, jadi security juga ya, gak perlu. I mean, you don't have to worry about macam entrancy attack, re-entrancy attack. Jadi dari segi security-nya semua mungkin lagi senang hati untuk developer. Kan kalau mungkin Solidity nanti kita coding nanti ini off by one error ataupun mungkin scoping gak betul, ini hackernya masuk terus hilang duit. Tapi dari segi Move gitu security-nya mungkin lagi mantap lah ya. Jadi itulah produk Zabava yang the latest one is mobile game. Jadi mirip Survivor.io atau Vampire Survivor. Jadi gamenya launching beta nanti di March. Jadi bulan depan nanti kita ada launch. Jadi siapa-siapa teman yang mau coba game baru di Aptos kita.
Di Aptos ya.
Di Aptos, di jaringan Aptos ya.
Okay. Bro, so anything that's in your mind how to build an apps in Web3, which is we say like decentralized applications, or currently name is Web3, right?
Yeah.
So what is your suggestions for let's say Indonesian developers? How to get them move from example we say Web2 programmers and move to Web3 programmers. How we say okay, you must to here. How do you have any thought about it?
I mean, ya mungkin saya sekarang dalam bahasa Inggris ya. Jadi in my opinion, I think the issue is that there's a lot of uncertainty gitu. Ya, jadi uncertainty and I think a lot of Web2 developers before they come into Web3, they're always thinking about okay, is it a scam? Ini scam ataupun is there stability, right? Because Web2 is, I mean, of course now there's a lot of layoffs ya. Sekarang kan ada layoff di Web2 di Web3.
Yeah, so many startups.
Right.
Okay.
And that is already very uncertain for the developers. Now they go into Web3 and they are thinking, okay, it's even more uncertain, right? So sometimes I think for developers they need to have that kind of like hand holding in a way. Jadi nanti developer Web2 mungkin harusnya edukasi harus paham yang okay, Web3 ini sebenarnya there's a lot of opportunities in Web3.
Yeah, so many things.
Yeah, tapi mungkin that jump mungkin I think it's not about skill. Ya, saya rasa dari segi anak-anak Indo dari segi development memang semuanya jago, semuanya bagus. Yeah, they are very good at Web2. You see a lot of Web2 startups coming up, right?
Yeah, Indonesia is the biggest one from the Southeast Asia, right?
Correct, right.
We have 8 unicorn now.
Correct, right. But why is it there's less on Web3 developers, right? Even though the Web3 is so good, right? So, I mean, this is my personal opinion. I think, there's a lot of uncertainty, and then I think there's a lot of moving parts that has to happen. Government, partners, new startups, leaders, right? Like maybe Indodex and all that. They have to be there to kind of like enable all the Web2 developers to come to Web3. So there's some education that has to happen, awareness also in terms of like the opportunities. Because kadang-kadang I'm already mungkin saya kerja di Gojek, wah gajinya udah lumayan kan.
Okay, yeah.
Why do I want to go to Web3? Mungkin kan nanti maybe I'm gonna get laid off tomorrow or something like this. What if FTX happen again? What if exchange go down and all this, right? So there's a lot of uncertainty, and I think it's just the awareness has to happen where government dengan teman-teman yang mungkin macam Pak William, all this kan dari Indodex. Jadi they are advocating and saying it's okay, we have to go and try. And then there's also have to be government support and backing, because kadang-kadang Web2 gitu, Web2 developers lihat ke Web3 ni macam scam, Jadi kalau government dengan backing from government and backing from leaders, mungkin ministers or and all that.
Because
I think
like
that
this,
will
bro.
help.
You know that our president, Mr. Joko Widodo.
Yes.
Before his election, I thought that in 2019, he asked about the cryptocurrency. He said that Indonesians youngs must be understands in Bitcoin, in crypto. And you know, it's following also his child. Name is Gibran. Maybe he's won the elections by this year.
Belum kan? When is announcement?
Yeah, I mean by quick count, by quick count that he's already won. You know, that he said he support, bro. He support from his maybe in presidential later. He will be support for the crypto and also blockchains. So I thought that is this green light for us. But you know, I have met some programmers, good programmers from the big startups. He's laid off. I cannot say the name of the startup. And you know what? I am one to hire him. To programs in Web3. And the funny things that I heard from him, he said that crypto is haram, bro. So I thought that that's the basics wrong they have. Because you know, Indonesian is the biggest populations Muslim Indonesia in the world, right? And when the crypto comes to Indonesia, and the first time maybe like 2018, the MUI, the Majelis Ulama Indonesia, the biggest organizations Muslim Indonesia, said that crypto is haram, bro. And until now, they still hold it. They still believe that crypto is still haram. That's why. Yeah, because you know, because our population's the biggest one from the Muslim, and also the programmers is Muslim also, so many. So yeah, because that's kind of words that crypto is haram, so they want to touch that. So that's the biggest problem, bro.
Oh, okay.
But if you said about the knowledge, the skill, and also about the professionalism in coding, don't ask me, bro. They are very good. So what do you think about this? Is this happen also in, let's say in Singapore or in Malaysia? What about this?
I think, memang di Singapore pun ada, I mean, dari segi institution atau governing body, or at least they call it MUIS Ugama Islam Singapore.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they make claims that it is wrong or right. I think a lot of governing bodies itu, they just you can try, let it, but we don't make any official kind of stance.
Statement. They didn't statement. Okay.
But I think that's a good point what you raised about it being haram, and then that affects a lot of
that's make a lot, you know.
Correct.
Yeah.
I've heard of this before, but I think it's because Web 2, or at least developers, we're always excited about new technology.
Yeah, of course.
And that is where I say a lot of the awareness, government backing, right? Like you told me, this Jokowi,
anak Presiden Jokowi
kan?
Gibran,
so hopefully like there's a lot more nationwide awareness, katanya ini crypto sebenarnya bukan crypto yang haram, itu teknologi di bawah crypto kan blockchain technology itu yang seharusnya Web 2 developers, they should be excited about that, right? So I think I didn't know about this, what you said about
what this problem. That's the problem.
Like they had an announcement that it's haram and all that, right? In Singapore, I do know there are some smaller communities, komunitas kecil yang katanya, crypto ini bukan semuanya haram, tapi I mean like AVE, compound kan ini interest kan ada riba.
Oh, ada interest, ada riba. Okay.
Yeah, then you say if you invest in that, then those are haram, right?
Okay.
Tapi kalau Bitcoin, mungkin ETH kan yang maybe there's no interest bearing, just the coin itself, I think that's okay, right?
Okay.
So people are concerned about this, of course, because Singapore in general Muslims itu strict juga ya di Singapore kan. Tapi kalau dari segi Malaysia, saya tak tahu. Saya tak tahu Malaysia bagaimana.
Okay.
All I know is di Malaysia dan di Singapura ada company-company yang bankrupt atau company yang scam.
Okay.
Jadi
MLM mungkin ya.
Gak tahu sih MLM atau fraud atau mungkin
memang buat nipu lah ya.
Iya mungkin lah. Saya gak
bangkrut
tahu.
is different bro. Bangkrut they are trying to be
bankrupt because
profit but they have not money.
No, but bankrupt is for example itu ada exposure to Luna atau exposure to FTX. Jadi kan harus we have to declare bankrupt, gak ada duit lagi kan mungkin. So I think those gave a bad light lah. Jadi mungkin rakyat Malaysia atau Singapura bila lihat ini udah ada scam, dan teman-teman mungkin my friend or close colleagues ini pun saya gak duitnya hilang di sini. So it's all that just bad vibe lah. Tapi saya rasa kalau dari segi Indo mungkin that's a good point. Dari segi if the governing body mungkin yang baru, election baru ya, mungkin Pak Jokowi anaknya dengan Prabowo, mungkin siapa-siapa yang menang ya. Kalau ada mungkin government announcement untuk tolong the Islamic body to kind of give better announcement.
Positive announcement.
Like, do your own research, of course, but the technology is good, it's growing, it will empower a lot of Indonesians. I think that would be a good start.
Even when the Bitcoin start funded there, 2008, right?
Yeah.
He said in what paper is a peer-to-peer cash transactions, right?
Betul.
So I thought that it's following of the Sharia rules. Right, because we have no third party to send money from A to B, right? And there is no interest in there. I thought this is good point from the Sharia rules. Even I said that the financial based on the Sharia is a crypto, right?
I mean,
from the fundamental itself, yeah. But if you looking for the other sides, let's say from the trading, right? Yeah, that's different. But trading is also common in real life now, right? We have like a stock market, an index, in forex, so many things. So if you lose, come on, this is trading. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. So there's no related to crypto. It's haram. I don't know what kind of things that made this crypto is haram. I don't know.
Saya rasa memang because maybe it's not the whole crypto, tapi ada elemen-elemen di dalam crypto mungkin ada elemen because kan trading kan ada go long and short kan, ada go long, ada go short. Short gitu sebenarnya kalau gak salah saya itu pun haram. You cannot go short kan. Ada there's some sort of
nah itu kan features ya, derivative, right?
Betul.
But if you use only for the spot, nothing.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is there's all these vibes lah. Like okay, interest bearing, there's speculation, there's gambling, and then an average investor mungkin siapa-siapa teman-teman yang an average investor in Indo, they won't go deep into it, right? Because it's education, it's awareness, right? They'll just government say no, government say it's not good, we'll just take it at face value, right? So that's the issue, I think. It's just education. Yeah,
but you know that if you compare Indonesian with others country in the world, not just in Asia, bro, in the world, Indonesia already have strict regulation, bro. We are the first have the regulations. So now it's not gray area anymore. We already in green area.
I mean, I think it's a hard problem lah. Ya, ini memang kalau dari segi because saya gak tahu, I'm not sure like the right approach. What's the right approach? I think in time, this is similar to what happened in in the 2000s or 1990s gitu kan, dulu .com era, .com crash. Dulu email, email. When email first came out, semuanya kata ini scam sih. Siapa mau pakai email?
Siapa mau pakai email?
Tapi sekarang semua orang pakai email. Betul gak?
Yeah, everybody. Right? Maybe have the 10 email. One person have 10 emails maybe, right?
Yeah, betul kan? Jadi itu saya rasa crypto ini sekarang undergoing that kind of change lah.
Proses ya.
Jadi siapa yang macam Bang Isabel dengan saya, kita masuk ke dalam sini, oh ini menarik sih. This has the power to change, you know, the financial systems, the world and all that, right? But there will always be people who the naysayers and the one who don't believe it early on, which is okay, right? It will take some time. Because teknologi baru gini lah.
We also accept them not receive us, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay, right?
I mean, at the end of the day, Bang Isabel dan saya, ini pun podcast ini untuk edukasi.
Yeah, for education, of course. Betul. Open mind.
Correct, betul. Nanti 5 tahun dari sekarang, 10 tahun, oh ini anak Indo, oh ini saya sebenarnya dengar podcast nih dengan Bang Isabel. Ini
5 tahun yang lalu.
Betul. Kan?
Tapi, waduh, saya baru ngerti sekarang gitu ya.
Iya, betul. Kan? Why didn't I think of it? I'm so dumb, blah blah blah, right?
So, back to my opinion, bro. Why Indonesians developers is not growing so fast if you compare to like a Vietnam, right?
Betul.
Or in Philippines, I don't know. Maybe Philippines is also good, right? Yeah, because there are things.
I think there's also one thing ya. Because dari segi Vietnam itu last cycle gitu udah ada Axie Infinity kan keluar dari Vietnam. Jadi there is a big project yang mungkin terbesar ya di
Yeah, that's biggest kan? Project from Vietnam ya, only one. Yeah.
Jadi bila anak-anak Vietnam, oh ini I can do this, I can make money, I can. Jadi semuanya interested to go in. Jadi mungkin di Indo belum lagi project begini.
Actually, you know that Indonesian have like before name is Paras. I thought that's the very biggest in the global market in near.
Ya betul, tapi
but not in Indonesia.
Saya rasa would you say Paras is the biggest project in Indo right now?
Yeah. From the volume.
Ya betul. Jadi I think Paras is a good example kan. Tapi mungkin the it's not at a scale of Axie lah. Kan Axie itu memang global, terbesar. So many people make money. Kan? Itu Filipin pun nanti ada Axie farm gitu, main 20 mobil. They play 20 phones to make money. Kan? That kind of scale. And then that is a Vietnam company, right? Like the founder, the CEO itself is from Vietnam, right? A lot of Vietnam developers. I think Paras, I'm not sure. I mean, Paras, hopefully with East Blue and all that, they can be like that, right? But maybe we need to see project atau perusahaan dari Indo
yang biggest from the biggest
will become like Axie, and then anak-anak Indo akan, oh ini sebenarnya I can make money, I can do cool stuff, let's go. Belum lagi. Maybe
tapi kayak dulu kita pernah terkenal di Indonesia gara-gara fotonya Ghazali kan. Di OpenSea itu lagi hype saat itu, ya kan? Artinya hype di Indonesia itu untuk kripto sebenarnya sudah ada gitu ya. Cuman in my mind there is so many of these founders memang bukan buat produk, tapi untuk cari duit, fresh money. Most of them.
I think itu pun sebenarnya memang that is the like the nature of crypto beginilah untuk you know fast money and right. Itu macam startup kan, kalau startup web 2 mungkin exitnya 5 tahun, 10 tahun, 20 tahun. Crypto setahun 2 tahun.
Setahun 2 tahun ya. Dan
itu jadi run. Startup on steroids gitu.
Startup on steroids ya. Iya
betul. So I think sekarang memang we need more, definitely. Mungkin kalau dari segi Vietnam saya agak pasti sih, tapi mungkin di Indo nanti ada accelerators, ada mungkin government backed bootcamps kan gitu. Okay, ini 10,000, 20,000, build this project and try it out and make it big kan. Mungkin we need those kind of support. But I think that what happened at Axie is a good example with Vietnam.
Yeah, Axie is GameFi, right?
Yeah.
So in your mind, bro, you know crypto from which year?
2020. 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
2020. Okay. So yeah, from my side is 2017, right? 17.
Last 2 cycles.
Yeah. So you know, in crypto we have like a buzzword in every year, right? We have like a DeFi, and then in next year we have like NFT marketplace, The next year we have a metaverse, right? And of course, like in this year, yeah, we have so many, right? Like RWA,
Deepin,
right? Deepin. We also like decentralized computing, right? And I don't know, like a modular,
modular blockchains,
right? ZK proof, whatever that. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things coming out now, right? So, my question is, what about the previous project like DeFi? Is the people still there in DeFi or NFT marketplace?
Yeah.
Is there people still there?
Yeah.
Or metaverse, GameFi? Is it people still there? Or, this is a new things. RWA, whatever it is. Okay, these new things. I want to learn this now. What do you think? Because it's very fast, bro. Only one year done.
Betul.
And developer got like maybe $5 million in 1 year. Wow.
Yeah, I think my opinion is that every cycle there's a flavor of the cycle, or like itu yang terbaru, the shinier coins, I would say, kan. Jadi every cycle we have something new for sure. Saya rasa, in my opinion, DeFi, I would say, is still
run.
There will still be DeFi, right? It won't be like, I think DeFi will forever be here, just kind of like the fundamental meaning of it, right? Decentralized finance.
Maybe point of my view is about from is TVL, the volume, the total
DeFi is
still there.
Because like if you see dari segi volume di crypto, most of the I think in my opinion trading dengan mungkin stablecoin, these are the two biggest use case for crypto.
Yeah. There's two kinds of trading, right?
GameFi also, it's still macam di sini macam gak pasti kan. DeFi, it's the most straightforward way because people need to trade, people need to speculate, kan. Jadi mungkin dari segi modular blockchain, dari segi RWA, dari segi some of these newer terms ya, ini semua sebenarnya underlyingnya DeFi.
Saling berkaitan juga semua ya.
Actually underlying semua DeFi. It's just that
DeFi as the underlying of all kind of these things ya.
That's a good thing about Web3 karena itu namanya composability. Jadi you can build new products di atas all the infra atau DeFi yang udah siap.
Yang sudah siap ya.
Yeah.
Alright.
So I think now AI also, AI is
AI
crypto.
Yeah.
So it's normal. I think there will always be new things, but I don't think DeFi will go well. I think it is dari segi use case itu memang yang paling penting saya rasa.
Tapi kan use case AI itu masih dipegang sama Web2 lah ya. Semacam Google, Microsoft, the biggest tech company in the world lah. Kalau di crypto, I don't know, maybe some buzzword only, bro.
AI, I think it's coming up. I know. So kalau teman-teman Indo mau research about AI dengan crypto, saya sebenarnya sedang tolong another project di Avalanche, namanya Tenzro. Ya, kalau teman-teman mau.
Tenzro.
The other one, I think RitualNet, ChainGPT. Right, there's a few up and coming, I think, projects in AI, decentralized AI. I mean, it's a lot of buzz.
Yeah. That's why I'm still thinking about decentralized AI. I am so confusing, bro, because you know what? Because AI is not SQL, right? It's not SQL.
SQL maksud apa? SQL database ya?
Yeah, SQL database. It's not using SQL, right? It's non-SQL, right? AI.
Oh, itu database desainnya itu masing-masing lah. Ada non-SQL, there's SQL, there's like MongoDB, Redis, and all this kind of stuff. Jadi itu saya rasa gak ada kaitan dari segi AI. Yang penting, I think what you mean is
the processing, bro. You know that the transactions per second in the blockchain is very low, right?
Yeah,
very low, bro. Example like Ethereum, it's only 7.
I think what you mean is instead of using database,
instead of using the computing AI using blockchain, I am getting how these connections happen, bro.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not an expert also in this. I'm still learning. But I think the decentralized AI is more for like what you said, people can run their nodes ya. Jadi Bang Isabel boleh ada komputer sendiri tolong validate transaction gitu. Lepas tu kalau you boleh training juga. Maksudnya kan kalau AI model kan harus ada training.
Yeah, of course lah.
Jadi
Machine learning.
Train, siapa-siapa boleh
That's
train.
why I'm asking that. Actually, in machine learning is a different type of computing rather than blockchain.
Yeah,
So
lain.
blockchain maybe just only for the transaction only, not for processing the AI itself. That's why I'm so confusing. What means AI for decentralized? I don't know.
I need to probably read more about this, but I think one of the main thing that I see people do is kalau siapa-siapa aja yang training modelnya dapat reward itu crypto kan, because kalau dari segi training model like ChatGPT kan, OpenAI, Gemini, Google, ini semua AWS, Google, the servers untuk training kan perlu
database lah, big data, right?
Correct. So that's where mungkin dari segi decentralized itu siapa-siapa aja boleh contribute, right?
Oh, okay.
5 megabyte,
so
5 megabyte.
Okay, so you mean that the differences is from the Web 2 is biggest company include, but in decentralized everyone can join, right?
Yeah, I think everyone can join and then train the models together and then get rewards
Oh,
together.
train the models together,
Yeah.
get the rewards from Oh,
Saya rasa gitulah, tapi gak pasti.
Yeah.
Masih belajar nih dia saya. Hari-hari ada
New things,
term.
yeah. Hari-hari ada new terms, yes. Okay, Bermud. So for the training itself, you have already partners in Indonesia.
Dari segi edukasi ya.
Yeah, from your said that you have a product for the academy.
Ya betul. Jadi dari Zabava ni kita ada, kita udah pergi ke university itu online webinar ya. Jadi macam ITB, EC, ESA gitu, university. Jadi kita mau produk ini mungkin BINUS dulu, because kita mau pergi ke developer dulu ya. Kita pun ada MOU gitu dengan Kemenparekraf.
Ya,
jadi seharusnya nanti masih dalam planning lah. Jadi seharusnya nanti kita ada plan untuk kalau ada event-event edukasi, it doesn't stop there. Jadi siapa-siapa teman-teman atau siapa-siapa yang pergi ke event Zabava dengan Kemenparekraf masih boleh ke websitenya untuk belajar. You can continue to learn gitu. So I think.
So you charge from them or what? You give free?
Ada yang di Kemenparekraf yang gratis ya.
Okay.
But there are some yang maybe Bang Isabel mau ajar anak-anak Indo Web3 marketing mungkin.
Okay.
Jadi Bang Isabel boleh 100,000 atau sejuta. You can charge.
So I can be
instructor gitu di situ. Ya, jadi plannya gitu. Sekarang gitu Web2 dulu ada pakai Google Cloud, tapi nanti in the future kita pakai decentralized social network ya, mungkin Lens protocol, pakai Farcaster. Jadi it's a marketplace lah. I can buy from you, you can buy from me.
Like a Udemy, right?
Betul.
Okay,
Udemy, Web3 Udemy lah gitu.
Okay, because Academy Crypto.
Ada, tahu.
You know.
Ya.
They have also some modules.
Macam CoinFox pun ada, CoinFox.
Oh, CoinFox juga ada ya. But like Academy Crypto, bro, his sponsor is Timothy Roland, I think. I don't know what kind his academy or lecture that he giving to his users.
Betul.
But they paid like 7.5 million, and I heard now is 11 million rupiah, bro. But I'm still not understands why they are selling the academy about crypto. Why they selling? What kind of selling they use?
I mean, I think there's a market for everything. Yeah. Jadi saya gak rasa macam people should buy or people. I don't think I should say people should buy or shouldn't buy. I think there's marketnya akan decide kan. The market will decide whether there's a market to be made for this kind of product, right? Sekarang kan memang bull market macam coming back kan. So maybe people are more interested in trading and making money kan. Jadi saya rasa I guess I mean that there are people who are interested in those kind of products kan gitu. Gak ada masalah lah. Yang penting.
But I think like this. This is two kind difference of product. I think, bro. First is for developers, and the second maybe for the traders. But in my mind, who actually paid for this course? The developers or for the traders? Which kind of these people who paid for it?
You mean you are asking me siapa yang beli ya?
Yes.
Produk ni.
Yeah. Who?
Yeah.
Because you know that education is about Bitcoin. Even I myself, I'm learning by myself. I read the books.
Betul.
I watch the YouTubes.
Yeah.
I talking with people, and of course, it's always free. It's free, right? So what I'm thinking is, what kind of people that you want to build? You want to build the developers, which is the making of the apps, or you learn people being a traders.
Yeah.
These two kind of different things, right?
Correct. So I think for Zabava ya, fokusnya ke developers, ya.
Okay, so you're focused on making apps, right?
Yes, making apps, anything to do. So
Okay.
I think
I thought that that's good, bro.
I mean, like I said, there's marketnya there's different types of market lah. So mungkin untuk academic crypto, it's new people that want to trade and make money.
Oh,
Right?
so for
maybe-
trading, right?
Right, and then
Because
there
you spend like 11 million for developers. I thought.
I mean, I guess there's some sort of branding there, yeah. Kan? I don't think it's like a good or bad thing.
Yeah.
The academic crypto has good branding in that sense where, kalau if you go to this course, you can make money later on or learn how to make money, kan? And in Indonesia, as what you told me also, the biggest number of users is all traders, retail traders, betul kah?
Yeah, of course lah. 16 million.
Betul kan?
Yes.
So in terms of developers, it's a smaller market. Tapi I think dari segi long term, it has the biggest upside gitu. Jadi in terms of potential, and I think where Indonesia wants to be, we don't want to be a country that is all trader.
Yeah.
We want
yeah.
developers, we want innovators. Kan?
Yeah, we want innovators, bro.
Yeah. So I think I mean hopefully it's Zabava ada produk, mungkin BlockDev ID also doing a good job. I think there's also like a few other communities itu udah bina komunitas belajar blockchain itu pun I think what people are doing with like Utopia every week they have meetup to education or that. I think those are good, but it's just not the market. How should I say this? I think the market don't reward those kind of endeavors. What I mean is like right now, if you want to make the most money, you should go towards the trading route in terms of selling courses and all that. Right? This is how the market is right now. Right? It's still too early to do developers, I guess, in terms of capital support and venture and all that. But I think you are kind of too early to kind of build this kind of stuff. It just depends on the founders lah ya. Foundernya mau long term visionnya bagaimana. Yeah, I mean, there's no right or wrong. You can make money, I think it's up to the individual. Tapi for my opinion, Indo dari segi awal is not the trader. It's about developer. We want who is the next Nadiem Makarim dari Web3, betul
From
tak?
Web3, yes,
dari
yes.
Indo. Who is the next siapa
Vitalik
lagi?
Buterin.
Vitalik Buterin mungkin ada Indonesia chainnya sendiri ya, Lewan sendiri kan. So we need that, right? I mean of course big trader ya. Mungkin kalau di global siapa ya, mungkin Suzu kan, ataupun siapa lagi ya, Andrew Kang Mechanism, ataupun trader-trader yang besar itu. I think kalau dari segi retail Indo semuanya mau jadi begini. Tapi dari segi
pengennya cepat duit ya.
Yeah, we want people to be, I want to be like Vitalik. I want to be like Anatoly from Solana, something like this. So we don't have that mentality yet ya. Jadi anak-anak Indo semua
not have mentality about that. Because to build something you have to spend money, right?
Betul.
So they think, why I need to spend money instead of trading the money.
Yeah, betul. Like I can trade and make money. Why do I need to build cool products?
Yeah.
Itu kan lagi senang. I mean, ada senang susah lah. Tapi we need, like I say, perlu inspirasi Web3 ini seharusnya bukan kepada traders. Inspirasinya seharusnya Anatoly, Vitalik,
to developers,
to
right?
developers. Yeah.
That's I'm agree with you, bro. All right, bro. So it's already 1 hour we talk about.
Oh.
Yeah. So in last word, maybe.
Yeah.
What's your hope for Indonesians in Web3 communities, especially for mass adoptions? Is there any kind of things in your mind?
Yeah.
What should the products to be made to bring more peoples? Because Indonesians, I honestly say to you that we are consumers, right?
Betul.
We are consumers and we have a biggest market in consumes. What I'm thinking now is what the best products to be built in your mind as you are foreigner to see Indonesians. What do you think, bro?
I think it's just like the daily needs ya. Jadi produk-produk yang seharian yang it could be like an app where you can buy something with crypto, right? You can get rewards, loyalty system.
But Indonesia cannot use crypto as payment, bro.
Yeah, so this is where regulations and government all come in later. My advice I would say for anak-anak Indo ini, just go around and try a few things, right? Try different jaringan-jaringan baru, coba aja, try, give feedback. Don't just build don't use the application and just okay, that's it, I just want to make money or airdrop or whatever. Be involved in communities, right? So go inside, whether it's Indonesian community or global community, you go in, berikan feedback, get involved, make some application, play around with it, kan? I think that's where you we need that kind of habit, I would say, mentality dari anak-anak Indo, ya. They have to, I want to go in, I want to improve something. Kan?
So what kind of products that you want?
Anything. I think right now, because like what you said, everyone going trading, everyone focus trading, right? We need people to go, even trading actually you can improve ya. Mungkin I'm not sure about
making a robot.
Yeah, that could be something, but I think it's just for me, teman anak Indo pergi ke jaringan-jaringan baru, pergi ke aplikasi, berikan feedback, get involved, try new things, and then you kind of learn. And also be global. Don't just be in Indo community, right?
Yeah.
Don't just like, I want
because crypto actually is global, right?
Correct. So don't just go to like academy crypto or whatever and just want to trade, right? Go global, go join community, and then maybe you'll see like, okay, this product looks like it is applicable in the US or Europe. Saya mau coba produk ini di Indo. Yeah, and I can tell you there's a lot of people outside of Indonesia yang mau anak-anak Indo ataupun mau produknya masuk ke dalam Indo. Itu teman-teman saya yang sendiri katanya, Bang Mat, mari tolong saya expand ke Indo, gini kan. Tapi fokusnya selalu ke trading. Yeah. Jadi seharusnya ada produk-produk lain. Saya rasa I think besides trading it should be social kan, decentralized social network, macam Farcaster or Lens tapi di Indo. Mungkin the other one is loyalty program. I think there is probably udah ada lah mungkin, tapi masih kecil-kecil kan masih. But I think give it, saya rasa 5 tahun 10 tahun lagi nanti ada Ethereum mungkin dari Indo ataupun yang produk-produk besar yang we don't have to go global, just 10 million users in Indo is already very good, right?
Yeah. All right, bro. So maybe I'm telling you something that maybe you don't know, bro. Indonesian peoples, they don't like Indonesians their own products. So sometimes, even me myself, I want to make my products and I want to make it in Singapore. Then from Singapore I want to sell to Indonesia.
But is it just
it's easy for us to sell it, bro.
So,
what do you think about it?
I mean, I think it is a plausible reason. I think itu mungkin ada unsur-unsur macam I don't want my own people to saya mau produk global yang datang ke Indo nanti saya endorse kan. I think that there might be some. I'm not totally sure about it. Saya tak tahu. But if you want to do that, it's just branding ya. Branding.
Yeah, that's the branding.
Yeah,
bro.
it could be like your product is building in Indo, but headquarters in Singapore.
Yeah.
Headquarters in America. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So it's just branding. I don't think it's more like.
So it's work, bro. It's works.
Yeah, I mean.
So that's why I'm talking to you currently now, right? So if you have any products, right? Don't say it's made in Indonesia. You just say from US, from Vietnam, from Singapore. Then you bring to here.
How about made in Indonesia tapi foundernya dari luar? Does that work also, or
it still works? I already made some projects. It doesn't works. Works.
It's branding lah. It's branding. I can't really say whether I agree or I don't agree. I'm not sure. But I mean, if it's effective, you know firsthand.
So the last question is, what if I made some products from Indonesia and I sell to Singapore? Vice versa. What do you think?
Can. I think can. I think if so, this is also my, like I'm telling you and everyone, like if you need to expand globally, you can let me know. I can help you with that. Like to Singapore, America, Hong Kong, China, everything, you can let me know. I can help you with that. I think there's definitely produknya at the end of the day, kalau produknya bagus, the product is good.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter it comes from anywhere, right? It could be like some cave somewhere also, it's okay. Jadi yang penting produknya harus bagus lah, dengan ada user yang penting.
Okay, mass adoptionnya from the community ya.
Yeah, because like I'm not sure what's the anything that's unique in Indo that can be in terms of just the product placement kan. Mungkin di Amerika udah ada product that what you mean.
The similar things things maybe. Correct. They already.
Unless it's like Indomie. Like Indomie, I think everyone wants it from Indo. It could be something unique or have its own IP like that. Then I think can make sense. Yeah.
Okay. So Indonesia, you think like a GameFi still okay?
I think so.
Still?
Yeah. I think mobile first, GameFi. I mean tokenomics have to be. Tokenomics ni sulit lah saya rasa because nanti naik. Kalau bull market semua naik, bear market semua turun kan. Jadi saya agak tahu sih siapa yang ada design atau mekanisme yang bagus untuk GameFi. Belum lagi. Mungkin Mythic Protocol kan dari Agate mungkin.
Indonesia.
Mungkin yang game-game baru cycle ini ya. Tapi saya lihat research belum lagi ada lah. Susah, masih sulit desainnya.
Okay, Bro Mut. It's time.
Thank you, bro.
To separate. Thank you, bro, for coming here. Maybe you have any time again, like 2 months later, you have a good news.
Correct.
We can talk more, ya.
Ya, tahun ni saya memang ke Indo. I'm gonna come more often here ya.
More often, okay.
Jadi mungkin selepas halving ya, guys, kita mulai bahas lagi mungkin naratif baru.
Yeah. So we can do. Partnership, right?
Sekali. Boleh partnership, boleh podcast sekali lagi.
Yeah, of course lah. Yeah. Every new things coming, right?
Every day
new
right?
Things. Okay, bro. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Bang Ismail.
Okay, teman-teman dari Bell Entertainment, begitulah pembicaraan kita. Sorry kalau kita ada sedikit bahasa Inggris, ada sedikit bahasa Indonesia, campur-campur ya. Setidaknya kalian bisa paham bahwa kripto itu adalah global. Jadi kalian juga harus bisa lah dalam berkomunikasi dalam bahasa Inggris supaya kalian bisa bekerja ke luar negeri dan kalian bisa memanfaatkan teknologi sebagai bagian dari kehidupan kalian. Oke, semoga apa yang kita bincangkan dengan Bang Mut tadi dari Singapura, dia melihat bahwa potensi Indonesia itu sangat besar, baik dari sisi developernya maupun dari sisi tradernya. Jadi jangan disia-siakan karena Indonesia itu adalah market yang paling besar bahkan di Asia ya. Terutama untuk kripto. Jadi ini adalah awal mula, early stage Jadi jangan berpikir bahwa kalian masuk sekarang itu adalah kalian sudah di titik jenuh. No. This is the first. This is the early stage. Kita akan move dari Web 2 ke Web 3 dan inilah saatnya kalian mau belajar. Semoga 5 tahun ke depan kalian akan menjadi orang-orang yang berhasil di dalam dunia yang kalian inginkan. Alright? Sampai ketemu lagi di episode selanjutnya. Kita akan bahas beberapa tema seperti decentralized music dan juga security di dalam blockchain. So jangan kemana-mana, tetap di Blockverse Build Edition. Oke, dah.